Hi.
It is March 5th, 7th, 2022. We're still waking up apparently. And what's your name?
Susan Jane Jones Lincourt Palmer.
And when were you born?
1942.
1942. And where were you born?
I was born in Monterey Park, California, Southern California.
At the local hospital, the community
Yes.
hospital? Yeah.
And I think my mother spent 10 days in the hospital.
Wow.
That was the...
Was there something bad that happened in your birth
No.
that made her stay? That was what was normal.
Mm-hmm.
Did she go in like before she went into labor?
I have no idea.
Huh. 10 days. Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. Did you have a like a family doctor? Like did the person who delivered you like become your pediatrician kind of thing?
I think so, probably.
Yeah. Kind of like me.
I don't think there were a lot of specialists.
Who just did birth or whatever, yeah.
No.
So is there a story behind your name?
Yes. My grandparents, George and Lillian, were friends with Spencer Tracy, the actor.
Mm-hmm.
And they would visit my grandparents' home in Encino,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually Spencer Tracy purchased my grandfather's house. But they had a daughter named Susie,
Mm-hmm.
and she had, from what I'm told, she had braids and freckles, and they thought she was cute.
Mm-hmm.
And they named me after her.
Mm-hmm.
And Jane is my middle name. I mean, it is my middle name,
Yeah.
and it's my mother's
Your
name.
mother's name, yeah. And how did your grandparents become friends with Spencer Tracy?
I really don't know.
Uh-huh.
They loved Hollywood. They went to a lot of movies.
Ah, I didn't know that.
They might have, who knows, in those days, Hollywood was, you probably ran into actors. I mean, it was
Mm-hmm.
smaller than it is now,
Yeah.
and they were probably maybe at the farmer's market or something. And
Right. Because they lived
really
right
don't
there on
know.
on the Miracle Mile, didn't they?
Mhm.
Didn't they live there too?
Well, Encino wasn't that far.
Okay.
Now it would be because of the traffic,
Uh-huh.
but then it was, people went all over
Yeah.
the valley.
More easily. But they hung out a lot on Wilshire too, didn't they?
That was later.
That was later. Okay.
When they were older, they lived in the Park La Brea Towers,
Got it.
right by the La Brea tar pits.
Yeah. Okay.
But they went to LA all the time.
Yeah.
They'd go for the movies and food and shopping, and
Right.
they had money to be very comfortable and do anything that they wanted.
Mm-hmm. So George and Lillian Wilson were your mom's parents.
Mm-hmm.
And who were your dad's parents?
My dad's parents were Louis and what was her name?
Viola.
Viola. Louis Thomas Jones. And maybe I'll go back to where my parents were born.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was born in Oskaloosa, Iowa, and he was born in 1909. And my mother was born in Syracuse, New York, and she was born in 1910, August 28th.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad's parents were Louis Thomas Jones and Viola Hannah McMillan. And my mom's parents were George Wilson and Lillian Wilson. And I have the dates of that on this paper.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's dad, we called him Papa,
Mm-hmm.
and he was very interested in genealogy, so he did that work, and I have some of the information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's the oldest person that you remember, like in your family or in your life when you were little? Who do you think was the oldest person?
Probably Papa.
Papa.
I mean, he was around the longest
Mm-hmm.
till he was 95, I think.
Wow.
And then his wife Viola died maybe in her 40s. And then he met Pearl Davidson.
Mm.
And they were in their 60s. And they both lived to be 95 at least.
Wow. So they had a good long time together.
Yeah, and they were very compatible because they had lived and traveled
Uh-huh.
the world,
Uh-huh.
and they were interested in. He was a writer, and she was interested in a lot of things too, so
Mm-hmm.
they didn't. I don't remember them traveling too much when they were older,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they both had lived and traveled earlier.
Yeah. I wonder how they met.
Oh, she was a dorm mother at Whittier College, which is like somebody who lives in the dorm with the girls.
Uh-huh.
It was girls and boys then.
Uh-huh.
Now they're together, I guess. But
So that's how they met at Whittier.
yeah, and he was a professor there.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe by then he just, I'm not sure that he taught, but he was doing research and he met her. I don't know if they met by chance or if somebody introduced them,
Mm-hmm.
but they got married. My brother was the ring bearer,
Mm.
and I was probably, in the picture I have of them, he looks like he's about 8 or between 8 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty young, and I'm sure I was there, but I don't, except for the picture, I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But of course, I thought they were ancient.
Yeah. Yeah. At 60. Yeah, 60, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. from a child's perspective.
Mhm.
It is ancient. Very ancient.
Anyway, they had a nice life together, I think.
Mhm.
Very simple. Not a lot of a simple home, but a nice home.
Mhm. And what are like early good memories from your childhood? When I say that, what comes to mind? Like, what were some of the
Just
funnest
playing.
things? Playing.
Playing in the yard. One thing I remember that was really fun, and I think somebody made it. I don't know if it was my dad or somebody else, but it was a round, like a tabletop, and it was kind of at an angle, and you could spin it and get on it, and we just played on that all the time.
Huh. It was in your yard.
Yeah,
Huh.
it was.
It was wooden? Was it
Yeah.
wooden? Oh, wow.
It was great.
Uh-huh.
We just, and then we had a swing set,
Uh-huh.
and,
And this is the house that you and I went
in
to.
Montebello.
We went there and they let us
Mm-hmm.
come in and look at it. Okay. All right.
It backed up to a golf course, so we had a lot of fun. My mom would make lemonade, and we'd have a little stand. We were on the 9th hole, I think,
Uh-huh.
and they always bought lemonade from us,
Uh-huh.
and it was really fun.
Mhm.
And my brother had rabbits in a rabbit hutch in the back.
Uh-huh.
And we had a dog. And then we had, next door was an empty lot. So we had space to play. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember, part of it's from pictures, but I had a tricycle when I was little, and then eventually a bike.
Uh-huh.
So we would ride bikes.
Uh-huh.
And neighborhood was a lot of family. My grandfather, Pappy, built the neighborhood. It was
Mhm.
like a tract neighborhood.
Did he build it? Was he a builder?
He was pretty much a financer and a entrepreneur, and I think he, being kind of very patriarchal,
Mm-hmm.
he, Jack, his son, was good at building, and he probably got other people too.
Mm-hmm.
But he built on this one street. He lived there with, we called her Muzzy, our grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
and Betty and Tommy, my mother's sister, and her husband,
Mm-hmm.
and their family, and Carolyn and Chuck and their family, and I think Jack and his wife, and us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Pappy, my grandfather, probably held all the loans.
Mm-hmm.
They probably made payment. That's what I surmise.
Mm-hmm.
He had the initiative and the money
Right.
to build, and then they must have paid him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So all of the cousins were together.
Yeah, we all played. Probably saw each other every day, and
Lester.
Lester and Lynn was older. She was a teenager when we were little kids.
Uh-huh.
And Andy and Carrie and didn't know George and Dree as well. They seemed not, I'm not even sure that they lived there, but if they did, I played mainly with Carrie, my cousin, because we were a year apart. But we all had other friends too.
Yeah.
And one of my other friends, Julie, there were 6 in their family. And
The one who you were really good friends with.
No, she was a friend, but she could be mean. And she would not like it if I came over and wanted to go home. I remember one time she locked me in a room or something.
Wow.
And I think she scratched me too. She was kind of a now and then
Friend. Yeah.
Hi.
I'm going.
Okay.
We're videotaping, so you have to leave us alone.
I'll be back in a couple of hours.
Okay.
If you're gone, I'll know you went somewhere.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
And then my best friend, his name was Maureen.
That was the one, yeah.
And her family was Russian background. Russian Orthodox, I'm not sure. But we got along really, really well. She was a little bit older, but we would just play at her house and my house. Her parents, I remember, I think her dad and their family had beards. And they were different, but they were really nice. I mean, I liked them a lot.
Did they live nearby?
Yeah, just like a block down the street.
And then I know that you moved when you were, was it 3rd grade?
3rd grade.
Where did you guys move to?
Whittier.
Whittier, okay.
My parents, especially, I think my dad wanted to move to Whittier because he went to high school in Whittier. His dad was a teacher there when they moved out to California. And he went to Whittier College. That's where he met my mom. And I think he just wanted to be there.
I wonder how old he was when they moved to Whittier.
Well, if I was in 3rd grade.
No, how old he was when he was a child. As a child.
I think a teenager.
Okay. Wow.
They lived in Indiana and Maine. And then they moved to Whittier. And he was the oldest of 5. So
I wonder why they moved all the way across the country.
maybe my papa got a job.
Oh, teaching at the high
People
school.
were, and my mother's parents did the same thing. California was just like
in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
A lot of people moving across country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They probably heard that it was great weather.
Yeah.
And other things.
They did.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's amazing when you think about it.
How far that was for them at that time, right?
Yeah, and they probably drove an old car out.
Yeah. With all their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or had their
and
stuff
I don't know
shipped
that
in.
much about it because I didn't ask them a lot. I mean, I was a kid and I didn't think about, well, how did my parents get here?
Yeah.
But I did know that they were there, and both of them, I think, were teenagers,
Yeah.
high school age.
When they got here.
And I know my mom moved from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
They lived in New York. She was born in Syracuse. And my grandfather, Pappy, again, was an investor and an entrepreneur. And I think Florida was pretty, my mom said it was a very fast, I mean, she wore high heels to school.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in the flappers
Mm-hmm.
days.
Mm-hmm.
They had what they called a Coke and a dope, which was a Coke and aspirin. And I think there might have been something, cocaine, maybe there was something in the Coke. I don't know, but
Yeah.
but they were, and she smoked,
Mm-hmm.
took up smoking
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
So,
smoked kind of a little bit her whole life, didn't she?
yeah,
A little bit. She wasn't like a.
she wasn't
She
a
wasn't like a
chain
chain.
smoker.
Yeah. It
Neither
was just
one
a
of
little
them
bit.
were.
Yeah.
I would say mainly social smokers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like so many people in that generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to so we moved to Whittier.
Did you move to West Road? In third
No,
grade?
we moved on Franklin Street. It was by Penn Park,
Uh-huh.
very close to Whittier College,
Mhm.
downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved into a new house. That was the first time my brother and I had our own room.
Uh-huh.
We had twin beds before in one room.
Yeah.
That house in Montebello was small.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember.
Two bedrooms, one bathroom, living room, kitchen.
Yeah.
That was about it.
Yeah.
And a back porch.
And a fireplace. I remember the
Yeah, it was a nice little house.
Uh-huh.
And it was adequate for us.
Uh-huh.
It was good. But anyway, they wanted to, my dad mainly, and I think it was a step up.
Mm-hmm.
My dad probably by then was an adult education
Mm-hmm.
director.
Mm-hmm.
He had been a school principal, and then he went in the Navy, and then he got out and went back into education. But there again, I think maybe they either had some help from my grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
or they were at a point where they could afford a little bit nicer
Mm-hmm.
place with a nice neighborhood too.
Mm-hmm.
Montebello was nice. There was you weren't afraid to walk to school by yourself
Mhm.
or anything like that. But Whittier probably was a little upscale from
Mhm.
Montebello.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you know, this is just occurring to me, do you know if either of your grandfathers were in World War One?
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I know that my great grandfathers were in the Civil War.
Oh, both of them? I mean, more
I
than
think
one?
so.
Wow.
I think Pappy's father was in the Civil War, and Papa's going back. He was Amos Jones was at Concord
Mm.
in 1767.
And then your dad was in the Second World War.
Yeah,
So you were how old when he went away?
2.
2. And how long was he?
We went with him to San Francisco, lived there for a while. We went to Arizona when he was stationed there. And then he went for 6 months on a ammunition carrier. And he went to Australia, he went to Italy, I'm not sure where all, India, I think, too.
Wow.
And I think, well, Hal was 5, and I was 2. And when he came back, we were just both, I don't know how Hal was, but they say I hid in the back seat. And
You didn't know him.
yeah,
Yeah. No Skype, no Zoom, FaceTime. Not that would have.
he wrote us little letters and little stories that I have. And I think he must have written to my mom every day.
Wow.
She had a box of letters. But she really never shared them with me, and they disappeared.
Interesting.
But I think it was scary, but I get the feeling a little bit that it was also romantic, because you marry someone and then they're gone. You don't know if they're gonna come back, and you're writing love letters, and it's just, they still went out and partied and did stuff, but she had her family. I think Tommy, Betty's husband, was in the Army, so he was probably gone. I don't know about Chuck, but they supported each other during that. They had support.
Yes, yeah.
My mom had her parents and her sister, and but I'm sure it was pretty stressful.
And what about your aunts and uncles on your dad's side? Where were what?
We weren't as close to them. I think they were. I don't remember getting together that often. We may have, maybe yearly, or
Right.
I knew who they were.
Right.
He had a brother Ben. He had a sister, 3 sisters. Frances. I can't remember, but he had 3 sisters and a brother, and he was the oldest. And he, I think he enjoyed my mom's family. His brothers and sisters were more like country people, kind of less sophisticated, and maybe more religious too. And I think my dad,
Wasn't his dad a minister?
Papa had a minister's degree and a history PhD, but I don't remember him ever giving sermons. He married my parents, so he could do things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was ever a preaching minister that I knew of. But his wife was pretty religious and pretty plain looking, dressed pretty plain and old fashioned, where as my mom's family was more up to date.
Yeah.
And so, and I remember my cousins, we got together occasionally, but the most fun was Ben, his brother, because he had a dairy farm in San Dimas, and then he had chicken ranch down in Escondido, and he had 4 daughters.
Oh wow.
He had the oldest was Barbara, and then there were twins, and then there was a younger one, and they were fun. They, had to do work on the chicken ranch, collect the eggs, and do stuff, and they would fool around a lot.
Yeah.
Had boyfriends and fooled around with each other. And they liked Hal because he was more their age, and I was kind of just an onlooker. That was, well, probably Hal was a teen and I was a preteen.
Preteen, yeah. So you really had lots of cousins.
Lots of cousins.
Yeah, on both sides. I mean, big families and.
Well, on my mom's side, everybody had 2 kids. And on my dad's side, they all had 4 or 5.
Wow. That's a lot.
So, yeah. I think I heard my mom or dad say that they wanted one more after he got back from the war, but they didn't do it. And they had gone through the Depression also.
Yeah.
Which made them very, they weren't poor, but they were aware of shortages, and so they were always very cautious, I guess you'd say.
Didn't take things for granted, I bet.
Yeah. And we were too. That came across to us. We didn't expect getting a lot of stuff, but we made up. I remember I had a doll 2 dolls that my mom made, and one was a rag doll that was big, and then there was a little one, and I made up a play and we enacted it with them, and we played ping pong, we played Monopoly, we did a lot of fun things.
Games.
Yeah.
Where did you play ping pong?
I think on the back patio. I mean, on I can't remember if we got the ping pong table then or later, but I know that was a big deal in my childhood. It was fun. So we moved to Whittier, and I went to 3rd grade, and it was traumatic for me because I left my friends and I didn't know anybody there, and it took a while to adjust.
And you kind of lost touch with Maureen.
Yeah.
Did you ever get back in touch with her again?
Yes, I did. I think she came to visit me, or maybe I went to, later on I went to a shower or something at her house for one of her kids.
Oh wow.
But it just was never the same.
Yeah.
We kind of went in different directions, and
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't seem like my parents or her parents were into getting us together. And maybe I just thought maybe I didn't ask enough, or maybe I just didn't think I could.
Yeah.
It was like we moved and there we were.
How far is Montebello from Whittier?
Probably in those days only half hour to an hour.
Yeah.
But I just think, that eventually I made friends. And
Yeah.
it was okay, but I think that was also when I had bad eczema allergies, and I had to go to a specialist in LA to get tests, and
So you had itchy skin.
yeah,
Where?
here,
On your arms.
behind my legs, my hands itched,
Oh.
and I remember wearing gloves, cotton gloves at night, because I would itch myself until I bleed.
Blood. Oh. That's the
And
worst.
I think I itched my face too, and I took all kinds of tests, and then also eliminated certain foods. For a while I couldn't eat anything with eggs or nuts or fish, or
Oh wow. Huh.
so I was on this limited diet, and then gradually got back to eating stuff. But then I took a shot every week
Wow.
for quite a while, until high school. No, actually until college. When I went to Yosemite to work, I stopped taking them. I was only getting like one every 3 months, and the doctor said, rather than trying to take it up with you there and all of that, just
You
stop.
gave yourself the shot?
No, I would have had to take. No, I never gave myself the shot.
You go to the doctor.
Yeah.
But when you were doing it every week, you went to the doctor every week?
Yeah.
Huh.
In Whittier.
What was it? Do you know what the medicine was? Was it like prednisone?
It was a combination of all the things I was allergic to.
Okay.
So it was desensitizing to those things. They made a serum
Got it.
that was what they did
Right.
in those days.
Were you allergic to eggs and nuts?
I may have been. I was allergic to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Cat hair, dog hair,
Oh wow.
chocolate.
Wow. But you're not now.
I don't think so. I eat everything. I still itch a little bit, but and I had it would break out later in my probably 20s, maybe 30s. My head would itch, or it would come on like,
Like
and I
like
would
an
get
attack,
a
allergy attack.
prednisone shot, and it would work. It would get rid of it. But my theory is that it was partially due to moving and, psychological as
Yeah.
well as physical.
Totally. Yeah. Remember when I had really bad eczema in my calves in junior high?
It's really, itching is almost, I would say, as bad or worse than pain. Because it's like you just want to
Constant.
dig at it and get rid of it.
Yeah.
I have a little right there
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't seem to want to go away. Anyway,
So what was that new school like? Did you have any teachers that you remember?
the first teacher, I think I vaguely remember, or maybe my parents told me that she wasn't that welcoming. She said, "Oh, not another one," or something like that.
Oh no.
And I can remember walking in the hallway. It was an older school, but then maybe that was junior high. But I remember like the first few days just walking by myself, and kids were playing jacks, and I mean, I can feel it and picture it.
Yeah.
Just, I don't remember nowadays. I think when somebody new comes, they'll try to have you have a buddy,
Yeah.
to, I don't remember that happening at all.
So you're really alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but eventually I made friends and knew them from then on, and we moved, but by then I was in high school, so I already knew some of the people.
So the people who you met in elementary school, did they go to some of them go to the same high school as you? Like
I
you
think
went with them through.
Yeah, I don't remember being in high school alone and not knowing anybody. Oh, but I forgot, when I was in kindergarten, I remember it was so much fun. The boys would chase us, the girls, and we'd run into the corner, and then I don't know what happened, but I remember that being really fun and exciting. And then another thing I remember is, I think I was in first grade and I got picked to be on Art Linkletter's show. And part of his show, it was on radio, not TV, was he had 4 kids and he would ask them these questions and try to make it funny.
Yeah. Do you remember that? Do you remember talking to him?
Yeah.
What was he like?
He was friendly and he talked to us a little bit before.
Just to build rapport, probably. Yeah.
And one of the questions was, "What's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?" And I said, "Jesus."
Oh.
That was not acceptable.
Really? That you said Jesus? Why?
I don't remember, but I had to think of something else.
Well, because maybe he didn't want his show to be religious or whatever. Yeah.
I said a diamond.
Oh, diamond. Yeah. And that was better.
That was okay.
That's so funny.
And then what does your mother do that you like? She makes me brownies. That was my answer. But nothing I said really, I don't think, brought a laugh. He had to kind of pull out. It was supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
And one of the boys said, "He has a clip joint." And Art Linkletter said, "You mean he's a barber?" And everybody laughed at that because the kid said he had a clip joint.
Yeah. What did the kid mean?
His dad was a barber.
Oh, and the kid said he has a clip joint.
Or,
Because that's
I don't
slang.
know if he made that up or if he was prompted.
Oh, right.
But there were funny
Yeah.
funny comments. He'd try to pull out funny things
Yeah.
or make it funny.
Yeah.
But I don't think anything I said was particularly
You
funny.
weren't a comedian in first grade.
No.
I also I remember you telling a story about your dad when your dad was gone. I just remember you telling me this when I was young, that you would sit in that chair that we had for a long time. I feel like we had the chair from when you were a kid, and you would like bounce in the chair and say, "I
Oh.
want my dad. I want my dad."
Yeah.
Is that do you remember that story?
I probably did it because I felt that might have been when he was in the Navy. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I did. I rocked a
Mhm.
lot when I was a little kid.
Mhm.
And that pretty much went all my life,
Mhm.
rocking for comfort or whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I hit my head on the pillow too at night
Oh, really?
to go to sleep.
Oh, wow. Oh.
I'd go like that on the pillow.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I don't know if I was, like, I mean, those are signs of autism. Banging, hitting your head. And Marshall said Stuart rocked his crib so much that it moved.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm sure that was some kind of comfort
Right. Self-soothing. Yeah.
mechanism.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I've never heard you use that word to wondering about yourself. Maybe I was a little slightly.
Well, not autism, because I don't think I have the signs of autism, but needing more comfort
Then you got.
than I got.
Yeah.
And I think my dad I remember him rubbing my back and being pretty warm and affectionate. And I think my mom was a little more distant. And I don't know why I think that. I think she, maybe coming from a really patriarchal family, she was very into appearance and, doing things correctly or,
In a certain way.
yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I haven't figured that out because she made our lunches every day, and I remember coming home and she'd be there and have cookies or something, and I remember going shopping, so we had a good relationship. She wasn't really distant, but never playing the piano. That I don't know. I've wondered about that. Why we had a piano and she did play at one time, and I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. So you went to Whittier High, and then deciding to go to Whittier College. What was that about? Like, how did you decide to go to Whittier College?
Well, my dad took me to Whittier College football games and basketball games. And I was a little cheerleader.
Yeah.
I've always liked sports. and especially, watching in those days, women weren't involved that much,
Yeah.
and kids. I don't remember having teams.
You never played on team sports.
Mm-mm.
Didn't you play though in high school? Didn't you say you played
Yeah.
half court?
In high school, I liked basketball and swimming, but it was all for PE. It wasn't like competing with other schools or anything. But I guess being with my dad and being excited about football and basketball and watching cute guys,
Yeah.
even though I was young,
Yeah.
it was still exciting and fun.
Oh yeah.
So, I think, he had it in his head that one of us, Hal or I, would go to Whittier College. Because he did, and his dad taught there, and it was a small liberal arts college. But I remember thinking about UC Santa Barbara. That was an option. But I think because of my dad's association with Whittier, and they could get a loan there, and it was close to home, and I liked it. It was a good school. It was really good school, and it was small enough so you could, pretty much know everybody. Smaller than high school, I think.
Smaller than the high school you went to.
I think so.
Wow. Yeah. Oh wow.
And they had excellent professors, and it just was a whole other ball game, as far as, for me, high school had cliques and places you could sit if you were an athlete or a popular cheerleader. To me, it was very confining. High school. I didn't like that kind of feeling. I think I was probably in the second echelon from the top, and I found other people that were not in my group that I liked, and I just felt like, it's kind of uncomfortable. So at Whittier, it just seemed like it was a new place, and people were different. People were from all over, and a lot of people were maybe from Whittier, but very few Cal High friends went to Whittier College. Can we take a break?
Yeah, we can totally take a break.